Hello everyone, this is SIG Scheduling Meeting on February 5th. As you can see in the agenda, we have several items, so we can start with Derek.
Hello, everybody. For a bit of context here, I have a proposal I'm hoping to gauge interest on in terms of modification to the way that topology spread constraints work. For context, I'm coming from the carpenter. I'm a carpenter maintainer. I'm coming from the auto scaling view of things, where one of the things I've noticed working with users for EKS is that when there's a total zonal outage, um, strict TSCs don't necessarily fall back in the way that I think users want them to. There's a proposal out that I've linked already to try to let users configure fallback behavior, and I have an alternative proposal that kind of I think does the correct fallback behavior by default instead of as like a user configured setting. So I'll let folks read and comment, and people can talk. If you have questions, let me know.
So this is the original proposal, I think,
Yes.
and
Which is larger in scope. It handles a couple different cases, total zonal outage, like capacity constraints. If you can't create certain instance types, maybe you want them to fall back, or like other. It covers a wide variety of cases, and I'm just trying to solve the zonal outage one.
okay. So this the doc focus only on the zonal outage. Is that correct?
Yes,
Mm, Does the original one covers both?
it covers both. I think there are three user stories linked in the original one, and of total zonal outages are one of them. The other one is capacity, and I don't remember the third.
So I remember the very recent discussion about solving the problem of bot topology spread. Uh, I remember the conclusion was that we may want to wait for auto scaling to address the problem, but I guess here we are pointing out that this is an important issue for AWS and Competer. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm having some more conversations with other members of autoscaling with like GKE and stuff on the Kubernetes Slack about this. It seems like um, people are generally aligned towards the fact that this doesn't solve the general case of like there will eventually need to be some kind of back and forth communication between kube scheduler and node autoscalers for these types of. You might want to do this kind of fallback behavior where the autoscaler can tell kube scheduler, "Hey, I can't make new capacity. Maybe you should do something else." Um, but for cases with like capacity outages and stuff like that. But I think that like the design point I'm trying to hammer home is that like I think that default TSCs should just work regardless of if you're using a node autoscaler or not. So even if the outage is just that you can't use your existing nodes, I do think that pods should like fall back to scheduling into the unimpaired zones correctly.
Okay. And another like comment, are you aware that PRR freeze has just passed for
Yeah,
136? So
that's fine.
that's fine. We can talk about 137 time frame to address the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone from with the auto scaling background can comment on that if you saw the proposal, because from the scheduling point of view, well, uh, it would be probably preferable to not uh, extend the topology spread before we have more clarity how VAS is going to support similar cases. But if that's urgent, I think we need to have some input from auto-scaling people. I don't know, Wojtek or Pavel, do you have any thoughts?
I have not seen this proposal before,
Yeah,
so
yeah, me
I
neither.
cannot.
I need to read it. Like it's hard for me to like fully. Or maybe I've seen that, but I can't remember. Like, I'm happy to look into that, but I will not get to it before cap freeze.
No, this is
Okay.
new. I just wrote it like last week. You haven't seen it before.
Sure. Is there anything wrong with the original one?
More so that it doesn't like I don't personally like the fact that it requires user configuration to accommodate like total zonal outages. There's also like the fact that you now need a node autoscaler in the cluster. So it doesn't actually solve the problem if you aren't using an autoscaler. Because like if you aren't using an autoscaler and you have some certain subset of nodes with a bunch of headroom around and you're trying to schedule new replicas during a zonal outage, right now the TSC will like strict TSCs will block you from scheduling during a zonal outage, regardless of if like because you don't have the node autoscaler signal to say, hey, like I couldn't make a node for you. So you don't have that back and forth to like know when to fall back. So you need it to default to fall back based off of the conditions of just the node state, like the state of the nodes in the cluster. Does that make sense?
Okay, so I see. Well, from scheduling perspective, I think we simply need to have input from autoscaling regarding whether the fix is like addressing the concern, how important it is, and if it's 137 time frame, I think we can simply take it offline. We will have a cap freeze next week, so we will probably be very focused on the current caps. So yeah, just keep an eye on it and yeah, let us know.
Sounds good. I'll bring it back up after the cap freeze.
Okay. Do we have John? If not, it's
Yeah, I mean, I think we already shared this, right? Like, we're gonna do in Atlanta. We did a summit all day on Monday before KubeCon started, and we're gonna do something similar in Amsterdam. It'll be at the Google office. It'll start at 10:30 because we couldn't get the room before that. But the idea is we would spend the first couple hours like with more presentational style things and then just do breakouts because I think that was missing from the last one. Wojciech and I will be hosting that. I don't know, Wojciech, if you have anything else to say. Just register if you're interested. We'll have for the morning part, we'll probably do a Google Meet as well, but like for the breakouts, that doesn't really work.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that it's not like we have some thoughts about like what we want to be in the agenda, but like we are absolutely open to like any suggestions. So like if you have any topics that you believe we are important and we should already start discussing them, like let us know. And based on like that feedback and our internal thoughts, like we will propose agenda a couple weeks before like the summit.
okay. Can we briefly mention what will be in the agenda?
I mean,
Because from
certainly
things-
continuing with WAS discussions and TAS discussion, workload aware scheduling, topology aware scheduling, and then the integration with auto scaling. Wojciech?
Yeah, I think that those are the main three. I think the for WAS in particular, one of the things that we would like to discuss is like integrations with specific workloads like JobSet and so on, like how like what are the missing pieces and so on, and the like evolution of the structure. For TAS, I think that's like literally the continuation of discussions that we had. And for auto scaling, we will try to share, like Pavel is working on the doc, or like some high level proposal, like how the integration could look like, so that like we share it like weeks, like hopefully maybe even next week. I think Pavel, you may confirm, or like.
Sorry, that's cluster auto scaling specifically.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that
Yep.
I was just talking to somebody here on the workload auto scaling team, so maybe we'll have some things to discuss about that too.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
that hasn't
makes-
really.
that's not on my list, but like
Right.
So I guess we will bring it up to SIG autoscaling SIG meeting as well. But if that they will be probably interested in the
This
integration.
I was at SIG Autoscaling earlier this morning, and this registration link was also circulating around. It seems like folks are
Okay.
aligned that this is going to be about, TAS, WAS, that kind of stuff. Folks seem excited. So
I put the link there, but I didn't show up for the meeting.
yeah, don't worry. Elmiko got you. He was like, I think what John is trying to say is.
What about the integration with Q? Is it also
Yeah,
part of
that
it?
was my why I had my hand up was I was curious. Like I would like to I know there's been some discussions. I think it sounds like internally at Google, but I don't know community wise like where we are with like the Q integration. So it would be nice. I don't know. Maybe that's a breakout session. I'll figure out who on the Q side is coming. I think a few of us will be there. I'll be there this time.
Yeah, so I saw Kevin, you registered. So we've got like already 30 odd, 34 registrations. And, I don't know if we'll have space for that. Let me see what budget I can get. But I mean, the room's big enough, but we're also feeding you. So I think it'll probably be fine. The the form has a suggestion for topics, so please use that. We will curate that, present an agenda, which would be a community agenda, which we can all work on together and adjust later too. The room holds a lot, like 80 people, but I don't know if I'll have to see if I can get budget to feed 80 people. And there's a value decline as the number goes up, right? Like 80 people gets really hard to manage as far as like actually making breakout decisions and things. So I think probably 40 to 50 I think we had about 40. We had a bunch of people register really late last time. So I don't know. I think we had around 40 or 50. That's probably where we'll land this time too, I would guess.
Okay. So I think we can. Yeah. Oh, Yuki.
Sorry. So to Kevin, so what does that mean integrating with Q? I mean, so Q has integration with autoscaler and scheduler or every core Kubernetes component integration. So discussing about integration with Q means we need to discuss about everything, topology of scheduling, WADs, autoscaling integration. So which topic do we want to focus on this integration with Q topic?
Right now, I feel like there are two parallel streams where we have Q kind of tackling TAS and a workload preemption, or sorry, TAS, workload priority classes. Auto scaling is definitely an interface there. And I'm not sure like what the world looks like when these converge. Because like when I look at the workload preemption, I'm worried that we would have, we have the workload aware scheduling focus of preemption, and then we have queues workload priority class. Those don't necessarily align right now, and like I think over time it will get kind of confusing if we say like Q has one way of doing this, and then in tree Kubernetes has a different way of doing this, and I don't know. Like that's kind of what I'm hoping to talk about with Q. I think like generally I think these can build off of each other, but I think maybe understanding the boundaries is helpful because I think TAS is one where I don't know if will we keep following with Q's APIs for TAS, or will we start trying to focus more on in-tree workload aware scheduling once that feature is further along. So those are the questions I have for I guess the queue convergence with WAS.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, maybe we can decouple auto-scaling integration discussion from queue integration. Yeah, maybe. That's all.
Okay, and I think there is also a quite recent topic about Grove and Kai. Is there anyone like you think this is a time we could discuss it as well?
Do you mean like right now or in the
No.
during the
At
summit? Yes.
If we want to
Yeah.
talk about this right now, you can add it to the agenda. I haven't added it because like we have a lot of like topics we have to focus on. So it's not necessarily the best time to talk about Grove integration today. But if you want, of course, you can add it to the agenda. But I meant the summit. So
No, it will be great. I can represent Kai and Sanjay, who presented the Grove project at SIG earlier this week, can represent Grove, and together we can explain the use case. Specifically, maybe it should also be divided into two different topics, like supporting hierarchical gang scheduling to accommodate the disaggregated inference use case with Grove. But I know that some of the problems there also exist with the LWS, and we can use the use case with Kai also for some discussions about external schedulers compatibility with the Cube scheduler if we want to. But the short answer is yes, I can take this as an action item.
okay. So if there's nothing, no hands up, then we can move on to the CAP review status. I can briefly tell where we are. Can you see that? What I'm sharing? I hope you do. So we have those sorted in the priority order. So the first on the top of the list, we have gang scheduling support and workload API. So gang scheduling CAP itself is merged. So we have workload scheduling cycle defined, in which we can schedule whole pod group in a one consistent cycle. And there is also another CAP which updates along with the API changes. So this is something that we will probably discuss later. And the second CAP is about podgroup API. The coupling, this is from HEPA, and well, we wait for a decision regarding the workload reference and beta promotion in consequence. Workload hour preemption, we merged today this CAP, and yeah, that looks promising. So workload hour preemption is a little bit different approach how we do preemption. Instead of like relying on post filters, we try to schedule workloads simply on the cluster, and we need to figure out at which preemption level we should not consider any other workloads. If you want to follow up, then ask questions. Another CAP is topology hour workload scheduling. This also looks good. It's LGTM. It's waiting for to be updated along with the decision about podgroup API. One important thing, we moved the desired count update into this this cap because we believe that this is the place when desired count may be useful. So scheduler want to consider the desired number of pods while taking a task decision, topology decision. Okay, the other one, okay, and maybe one more comment. The topology where scheduling cap takes the DRA support out of scope, and it considers only the label-based topologies. It probably matters because we have the following one, the resource claim support for workloads. So we change the way we can manage resource claim lifecycle for the whole pod.
I would just like add one clarification. It's not just we are putting like DRA support completely out of scope. We want to decouple it from the exposing it to the users, because like we already have like as one of the like requirements to have this like test DRA plugin in the work topology aware scheduling cap. So we want to validate like that conceptually, or like the algorithm conceptually works. It's just like there was long discussion about like how to expose that API to users and so on. So that's why we decided to decouple that part.
So this is exactly why I'm mentioning it, because since we are adding resource claim support to workloads, so we are addressing the API part. The question is whether we really want to at least write that we are not going to support it for tasks in a task algorithm. Maybe we don't have to say so, and maybe we should consider actually supporting the array, because then we would have both the API and the ability to schedule across different devices. But that would require like definitely some more work. But the cap itself is ready because it covers both. So, what's your opinion on that?
So are you saying? I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead, Wojciech.
So I think the cap doesn't says completely that it will not be implemented, but I wanted to make sure where we actually are. Yeah, please, John.
So so the DRA, you're talking specifically about whether we address the scheduling of pod group level multi-node resources devices during the pod group scheduling cycle, as opposed to during the first pod scheduled as part of the pod group.
Yes.
I mean, I think if we can leave it as, let's see how much time we have, and if we can implement that, let's implement it. I think that seems reasonable to me. I don't think we should explicitly exclude that as some. I mean, our implementations often don't match exactly our caps, right? Like, that's okay. We can make that decision if there's actually the time. But I right now, as I understand the plan, it would be you could express with the cap John Hune's working on the ability, the pod group claim, and then, but it wouldn't actually get allocated until first pod. And I think if we could allocate it earlier, it would be useful. It would make the topology choice done then. But our current my current need around this isn't for the scheduler actually to make the allocation. I'm probably going to use something else to make the allocation for these multi-node choices. I think I shared a document a couple weeks ago. So that kind of covers topology aware already, because that thing's making the selection of topology then externally kind of out of band and writing the allocation down, which includes a topology, which includes a label selector.
So my understanding is that there will be, obviously, the first spot allocates the such resource claim. But if we talk about task support, then the task algorithm would be able to consider different topology options. So in case of the array, it could consider different device options.
Mm-hmm.
The device is equivalent to the topology, then of course. But it's, as far as I know, it's not planned to be implemented on our side. Pavel, maybe if you have any opinion.
Yeah, it's true, but like we know what exactly should be done. Like the interface, the interfaces like were designed in a way that like it's a matter of like implementing those additional interfaces in the DRA plugin. So like we pretty much know what has to do. I'm a little bit skeptical about like review bandwidth, and given the amount of like other stuff, if we really be able to like have that, but if we can, then like I'm absolutely supportive for that. So.
Yeah, so like the plan for task cap was to, as Wojtek mentioned, it was to implement the dummy or the simple test DRA support plugin. If it turns out that it would be equally complex to implement like the proper DRA support, then we should go for it. But I'm a bit concerned to basically commit to have this implementation in 1.36 because this was not considered to be like part of the commitment for 1.36. So I agree that if it turns out that it's not like much harder to have like a proper implementation and we'll have like time, then I'm for all for having like the proper integration. I don't think it changes like the cap much. So
probably not. Okay,
yeah.
I wanted to just make it clear what is the plan. So I think we are all in sync now. Okay, so moving to the next one, extended resources. This is merged, and this is a promotion to beta. Another one, integration workload API with job controller. So the review is ongoing. Anyone wants to comment, please do so. Heba or...
Yeah, so it's ongoing. I just hold this for a while until we have the agreement and like about the boot group structure. Once we get this settled, I will continue. I will continue with this.
Okay, so consumable capacity, I think it's LGTM on our side. There are some Andre,
Yes, sorry, Dominic, just a quick question on the task. So like I kind of like, I didn't go deeper to review the caps of the proposal, but like from my understanding, we're going to expose the topology constraint on the pod groups. So my question is, so today, I guess like there will be some manipulations happening on the node selector side, right? To kind of place the workloads in the specific part of the data center. So my question is, today true controllers allow users to manually modify, node selector declarations. So the goal is to kind of use this workload capability to, have the topology over scaling for a long term inside true controllers. So users don't need to touch, like pod spec, node selector at all.
I don't think that user needs to touch this, but can you explain like once again?
Yeah. So like, many, true controllers expose the pod template spec to end users, right? So even like, job control, job set, train job doesn't matter, right? So some of the users, might use Q for topology over scaling. Some might use Volcano. Their own, Q has its own topology custom resource. But some users might, like manually adjust node selectors directly on the pod spec, to place the workload on a specific, to the specific node. So my question is like, when we have these tasks inside the workload API and the pod group, so I guess like we don't want users to manually adjust node selectors, right, in a pod spec.
Well, at least they cannot be contradictory. So if it is a valid task option, then yes. But otherwise, it will be like similar to direct scheduling, pinning a pod to a node. But here you would pin to a topology option. So if this topology option is feasible, then it's fine. If it's not feasible, then TAS algorithm will not pick any other alternative placement in that case.
Okay. So the topology basically will be, responsible for those algorithms and the workload spec that's, we're going to configure for this workload, right? Like all the tasks, the long-term goal, all the task-specific configuration should go to the workload API eventually, right?
Yes, well, it would be label based. So, so yes, if you specify in workload API at which topology level you want your pod group to be scheduled, then yes, it would be specified in the pod group. If you have it specified somewhere else and workload API it's not aware of it, then probably scheduler cannot understand this, and you need to then use some other scheduler to pick the topology option and do what you said before.
Okay. Yeah, because like, for example, Q modify node selectors on the workload directly, right? It's
yeah. So this is one of the topics of Q integration. So the problem will be when we use both workload and topology.
Yeah, makes sense.
Workload API, and Q uses its own, which is not in sync with us. Then it might be a problem. But this is exactly what we need to agree on, how things should work together. Okay, so moving on, as I said, consumable capacity, I think there is some ongoing discussions not depending on us. Partitionable devices also got promoted to beta. It's merged, as far as I know. Device stains and toleration also. Binding conditions. This is always interesting case, because there was always GPU attachment in scope of this cap. Now the cap says that it is out of scope, is in non-goals, but we still like document the happy path in which the attachment could happen. And from our perspective, from the scheduling perspective, I think it's fine that the feature itself is brings value. Whether the happy path is useful already, I think that's there is opinion. John, I think you said it's.
I have another idea. How much time do we have left? I don't want to okay.
It depends how, because we have one more thing. The last thing is the API discussion. So I'm not sure how much time you want to.
I'll just say I'm going to put a comment on probably that happy path issue. Like we can use the binding conditions along with a technique similar to what I mentioned earlier, where we actually remember resource claim and resource slice are actually decoupled. Like we don't validate or require that what's in the resource claim allocation status actually exists in any resource slice. So we might be able to have the NVIDIA driver run, but actually not publish its resource slices because those resource slices are being published by the disaggregated controller. And then so we can still record in the resource claim the allocation made by that disaggregated controller effectively and bypass the dynamic resource plugin, which does the matching between resource claim and resource slice, and still have the kubelet side of DRA, the actuated. So I think that actually might be a reasonable approach. It's just to kind of like treat those as independent APIs, resource claim and resource slice, rather than always being paired.
So if I understand correctly, that would be completely invisible to scheduler, right? Because it will
the dynamic resource plugin would basically see the claims already allocated and just be like, cool. We might have some issues around reserved for, and like there's might be some things we have to work out because the other place I'm using that is for multi node things, but
yeah,
we'll discuss that later.
I also had some thoughts about like maybe we should do something in post filter when we cannot find the GPU, then maybe some attachable devices should appear as an options to scheduler.
That's interesting.
I didn't want to start this discussion because we don't have time this cycle, but I think the post filter is actually very interesting case, and we have other discussions like how we should use it, but so let's not spend too much time now on this. So if I understand correctly, device binding conditions can be simply approved, and we can move on with the promotion. Okay. Native resources, it's also interesting cap. I think that overall it's fine. It's acceptable for us to do what's described for alpha. I had some suggestions for how we can do it differently, but
yeah, that one we're gonna see. We're gonna have a discussion in SIG Arch after this meeting. Like at least Sergey in SIGNode is not thrilled with the downstream consequences on the way kubelet, way other things in SIGNode work. So we'll see. This is a little bit up in the air right now.
Okay, but are you leaning toward like moving with what
I still hope we'll get some alpha in this release. I hope so.
With what is already described.
With something as potentially even less, right? Like maybe even scope down a little.
Yeah. Okay, so I will wait until this gets clarified. Okay, list types. I think there's nothing happening there. No declared features. I think Maciek is reviewing it. I think there are no much changes on the scheduler side, but unfortunately, I don't know what's exactly the status here. Opportunistic batching, we have a small update to that cap, and we have I think 2 or 3 related changes, the cell expressions for tolerations, node affinity, subversion, and wildcard.
Yeah, I can give you an update about this. So the SLE expression and subverge, actually, it was 2 sub caps from the extension for the toleration operators. So it was like a request during the review to support the SEL and subverge for the toleration. So these caps are in review, still in review. They are on track. Hopefully, they will get merged by time. About the wild card, it was just a use case from SEL, and we discussed with the author for the wildcard matching, and they agree that if the SEL cap got merged, it will cover their use case.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is Semver cannot be covered by cell?
No, the wildcard number 20.
Only this one.
Yeah, only this one. But Simverge, it's like it's different from SEL, and both of them are on track and still in review. I will finish the first, the first review, and then I will ask someone from the SIG scheduling SIG scheduling lead to have the second review as well.
Okay. One question. CL, isn't there a concern that it would be too slow and impact performance?
This is for the node, and okay, we decided actually to have it only for the toleration, not the node affinity, because node affinity is much complicated little bit, and it might take lots of time and lots of other, other set of other set of requirement for the node affinity. So we're just focusing now on the toleration. And I believe the author is doing some research around the performance related to this.
Okay, so we'll see. CSI attachment. I think the cap was merged. I'm not sure if there are any changes to scheduling. I was about to follow up on this, but I don't see where I asked the question. So I probably have to look at it once again, unless anyone knows what's the status of it. I mean this one. Okay, so prioritize alternative is merged as well. So that's all. So if we have some more time and we want to cover the API changes, then please go ahead.
Mateusz, given that you opened the cap, do you want to cover it, or do you want me to cover it?
Yeah, I can start. Probably you are most up to date with all the conversations. But overall, I think we are still discussing and waiting for Tim's feedback, final feedback on what to do and what is his advice here. Given we have only less than a week before the cap enhancement, before the enhancement freeze, we decided to operate under the assumption that we will go with another alpha, just to make sure we have all the PRs for the cap changes in review and we won't miss the deadline, because that would be just terrible if we don't do anything in 136. That's why I opened a cap. I can share it here, PR to the gang schedule, to update the gang schedule cap, basically pointing to the cap that Heba is doing and updating the current status of the gang scheduling cap, updating the API to match the staying in alpha vision we have, which basically means introducing the pod group, some renames in the workload API to address the ambiguity and essentially make it clear that this is a template, not a pod group instance. And we went with the workload reference design where basically we're tombstoning the fields for the old model, so the pod group replica and pod group, and introducing a new one, pod group name, that should point to the pod group instance. I can send you the link for the pull request. Okay. Anyway, like I sent the link, not sure why the format is like this, on chat. And Heba, you also like are working on your cap and updating it,
Yeah.
I saw, right, to follow the same plan. And we are like reviewing that, so we hope also to like have it reviewed soon. Not sure, like Wojtek, do you want to like cover some of the discussions we've had with Tim, or?
Yeah, so we are still like, I'm personally in favor of like doing another alpha. I think the changes are like we still don't have like any real integration done for the new model. Like we have some ideas, like there are different discussions, but we don't really have it. So that's one thing. We are the changes like seem pretty compatible. Like it's not that we are creating new concepts completely, like we had a concept of pod group and so on, but like it's still the change, like the changes aren't like that small. We need to change the workload reference inside the pod group, but there are still like we are still discussing with Team Hawking and Jordan a little bit, like if there are ways to still make it somewhat relatively safe and do better and avoid like the future maintenance of like the legacy model. But I'm personally like on the side of like, let's do another alpha and like let's build the integrations in the meantime, let's learn from it, let's confirm it, and then let's target beta, really target beta in 137. I think it's that's what alphas in my mental model are. Like they are basically to validate that. Like I think we learned that like we should revise the approach. I would be afraid if that would be like second time we are saying like we need to stay in alpha and so on. But like if it will be a second alpha. So like I think in my mental model it's by alpha, what alphas are for.
Yeah, Andrei, I see you have.
Yeah, I want to quickly say, I think from my perspective, we do have some of the work. So if you want to have more adoption, we need those true workloads start using this API, right? So I know we're planning to 1.36 integrate with job. In, like once we release this as alpha, we can do something with job set and train job, like in 1.37. So once we have this, I don't think we can, postpone in 1.37 not going to beta per se, right? Like in terms of pod group and workload API. So hopefully the true workloads will drive the adoption of this API from my perspective, right?
Yeah, that is correct. I'm not sure whether we'll be able to support job sets. I still believe it will be a cleaner API if we had the pod subgroup before, but definitely we have other like possibilities here. Like for example, LWS is one thing, right? That can be supported.
I feel like yes. So sorry. Like I think
that's
yeah.
overall I agree with your point. Like so, we definitely and like that's important. So once we submit the cap, right, the merge the cap, we want to very shortly after like make all the con changes to the API, so we can have like integrators like building the POCs based on that, like and showing that actually like closing this gap and proving that the API we came up with is actually the API and it allows to like integrate with all the use cases that we need to support.
Okay, so maybe I will have one question. So in the in the future releases, when we have subgroups, podgroups, podgroups will reference to the parent group using the parent ref. But in case of pods, we are not using parent ref, but we are making it a part of workload reference. Don't you think that this is that might be some inconsistency in the future version? Because now we have pod group which have a parent ref, and it also has workload ref, and workload ref also can specify pod group name. So this parent relation could be implemented in two different places, which potentially might be confusing.
So like the first thing is like we haven't agreed on the exact API for how to extend the structure to have like another level of hierarchy, right? But that what's in the doc is just a proposal. But the idea was showing that that's an additive change, right? We can do it in backward compatible. And like, are you suggesting that we should use the workload reference structure to link like potentially pod subgroups to
or maybe
groups?
no, or maybe parent ref, but I worry that the next release cycle we will think again about the same problem, whether this is additive change or we are introducing yet another inconsistency, and we want to change the decision about how we reference workload from pods again.
But like, I don't necessarily like see a problem here in like using different names to link like objects, right? Or might be missing something. Like, so you could explain again. Yeah.
So from pods, we will reference to pod group through workload reference. There will be pod group name, but pod group to pod group will be referenced in your proposal as a parent ref.
Okay.
But there will be also workload ref in pod groups and subgroups, which also has pod group name.
Oh, sorry, where exactly? The last part. There is a workload reference inside every like pod group belonging to that and pod subgroup belonging to that workload. But where is the pod group name?
Pod group and subgroup, and there is also parent ref.
Yes, like they have like different purpose, right? Workload points to the workload, and that's we agree it's redundant in a way because you could always traverse the tree and like go to the workload from the root, but like
Okay, I think we lost Matt or myself.
Yeah, I also can hear Matt.
Yeah.
Maybe let me find. We don't have to like discuss it now. We can take it definitely offline.
But I think like trying to maybe like continue what Matt was discussing, like I think even if we decide to like have like there are two different like modes proposed to, and in both cases we have a path to either just not change the like workload reference at all or just change it in a backward compatible way, and that's all we need to ensure. Like I don't want to try to predict every single potential evolution.
Inconsistency.
Yeah, I think Dominic means that we will have the pod group reference in two places. One in the workload API in the workload ref, and another one in the parent ref. If we have in the parent ref, is that right?
Here and here.
Sorry, I lost internet for a moment. Like, so where are we?
But it will not be No, so I think it will not be there. Like here, it will not be a reference to the parent. It will be reference to the leaf from the structure of the pod group.
It might be the same parent, it might be not, right? So in cases, if we have just two hierarchy, it will be the same parent. But if we have multiple hierarchy, the parent ref here would be like different. Is that right? Wojtek?
But no, so I think I'm a little bit lost. So like, and probably it's me who don't understand the concert. So I think this is like a different thing than what will be like. I'm not sure what duplication we are talking about, because like in the pod will be pointing to the leaf in the like pod group structure, pod set.
The immediate runtime context, right?
Yes. And those objects will be pointing to their parents. So I'm not sure what kind of duplication we are.
The pod group name reference and the workload reference. I think this is the Dominic was referring to. If you go up,
so I'm assuming that like parent reference will never be pointing to pod group. Like the parent reference for the top pod group will just be nil.
Okay.
I don't know.
So we will never have these two cases, right? For having the workload has has pod group reference, and at the same time the subgroup has parent reference as well. We don't have this case, either this or this. Is that right?
That's at least my thinking, yes.
Why?
Okay.
Yeah. So like just one small question. Why do we need template ref at all? Like I don't really understand the pod group spec. Because pod group name always the same, which we define in the workload. Like we don't need it at all.
But basically, that's a policy like provenance, right? Like where this policy comes from. It comes from this template. So it's like pure. I agree. It's like not needed for anything because the scheduling policy is inside the pod group. So scheduler can act just by looking at the pod group, but it gives you some extra context. So like that's extra information here, right?
But extra context is a workload. Like again, workload is the object. Workload already has extra context if user really needs it, right? And name, it's exactly the same name.
Yeah, like like if you have like multiple pod group templates, right?
Okay.
Then you need a way to tell for this pod group what was the pod template that this was instanced from, right?
No, but the name is always the same. The name of the pod group object is always the same as the name inside the pod group template. Like we don't need template ref at all. Like you have
the name of the pod group object is the same as the name of the pod group template. That's what you are saying?
Yes, because in the workload API, right, we have pod group template.
No, but like imagine like replicated jobs, right? So you have one template, multiple replicas.
But we don't have replicas in pod group template today.
But like in this, like now, for example, for where you don't need gang of gangs, right? Technically,
no, but it's different. No, it's different. Like we don't have replicas at all as an API right now. We only have pod group template name, which means like the pod group template name is always the same name as the pod group object, right? The subgroup could be the same, right? Like
can we open like the API, like the document with the
yeah. So
easier to
So do we have the pod group template spec in this doc somewhere?
It might be in the other doc or in the cap, I think.
It's in the other tab, the forward like the second tab. Yes. In the up, up.
Pod group template.
Yeah, pod group template has a name, right?
Yes.
It doesn't matter. In the future, we might introduce pod subgroup templates. It will also.
Even in this case, right? Technically, you can even assuming the simple hierarchy, like no hierarchy, just the pod group, no subgroups. Okay, you can still model the LWS use case. I would say. And
No,
in that case,
yeah.
like you can have a single pod group template.
Okay.
And multiple pod groups, like one for every replica. Okay.
Okay. So you mean like,
like
you can.
the name of the replica needs to be different because you need n names where you have That's the idea here, right?
I see. So you basically can modify the name, right, inside the pod group object compared to the template, right, which originally has the spec, right?
A controller will have to manage that somehow, right? Like we had this discussion with Kevin on the doc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So coming back
if
to,
we haven't converged on the like parent, I'm happy to like follow up offline on that.
Yeah, just one question. So currently we have pod group in the workload reference, and it's going to be required. So
I think we're removing it, right?
We are actually postponing this, and we are changing to optional all them. But like,
so if when we have pod subgroup, then we will have to add it to workload reference as well, because some pods.
Yes, and like that in the second tab, right? So we are discussing either not doing that and only having like pod group with some kind of role or type, or having an explicit types, like different type for the pod subgroup. And then yes, you need to add it, and it will be like one-off, right? It will be you either set pod group or pod subgroup.
Okay.
And luckily, like the plus optional plus required here, it's only for validation, and you can change from required to optional, right? So, but we are overall proposing, like we had this other discussion, like different context, but we believe we should mark all the fields, like most of the fields, maybe in some cases like name that is required, right? Because you need to be able to identify the object. But other fields, like it's better if they're optional and we have in-code validation, because later in the future, like in this case, right, if we see a need to extend this and like, for example, add more or like add one-off, right, add more use cases, so some fields are not necessarily set, then we have this option. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks. And I think any more comments?
I guess like for 1.36 we need to agree on template ref, right, Matt? Like from my understanding. Because
once again,
like for 1.36 alpha, right? We need to agree on the template ref API.
On the workload reference, yes, on the workload reference, yes.
Oh, okay. Like, but the template reference as well, right? On a pod group object. Like on a pod group object.
Okay, and what are the options? I might have missed that. Like, I follow this in the design is kind of like coherent, but like let me know if it's not like.
Okay. Yeah, I guess like there are some, like the problem might be once we introduce the hierarchy, right, in the next releases, right? The question like, will it be a breaking change for us in the future?
I don't think so, because like we are showing that in this second tab, the forward compatibility, that we can extend this hierarchy like in a purely.
Yeah. So if we see some problems,
yes, like please comment on the blog or like
comment
in your chats on Slack. So yeah, so
okay.
Cool.
Okay, so I think that's it. That's all. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.